Hello my friends, this is Jonesy Boy here and welcome to my video on replacing a motherboard in your water-cooled PC. Now the reason why I'm doing this video is I found out that when I installed the new motherboard that I got off of eBay, which actually happens to be the same model of motherboard that I had previously, into my system, that two of the memory slots were bad, and this is what I get for not testing before I fully install the water cooling system and fully fill it. So completely my bad, but I'm going to show you the process of emptying your loop and installing a new motherboard when you have a water-cooled motherboard, a water-cooled CPU, and water-cooled video card. The entire system's water-cooled except for the memory, which you can do, but yeah, well, let's get on with it. And make sure you're being easy when you rock this thing off. Make sure you disconnect the fan. And the reason why you're easy on it is because you have these thermal pads here and you don't want to tear off any of those chips. So there we go. The system's bare now. Looks like it needs some cleaning. Holy cow. I don't want any of that to go unchecked, so I'm going to clean it. Some isopropyl alcohol. Some Q-tips. There's kind of a cruddy attempt at a heat spreader on that chipset, so I removed it. Okay, now that that chipset's clean, we can do a quick clean on the water block. Alright, all nice and clean. Super tiny pea on there. That is not tiny. Should be okay though. Just gonna sit like that for now. And this one already has the thermal pads on it. I don't think there'd be any need to do thermal grease, so just pop that there. And then let's get to the other side so we can affix these guys. Now we'll put a little bit of arc silver on here. Now keep in mind, this is how I do thermal paste. You don't have to do thermal paste this way. And in fact, this is how I do thermal paste only with this socket set. And the reason is because the CPU is so massive, it's hard to just use a P size or anything like that. And usually X is the best way to go anyway. But if you really want to argue, think about this. No matter which way you do thermal paste, as long as the heat spreader is affixed to the chip itself, you receive only between a 1 and 2 degrees difference in the variation of temperature, and then Celsius, but it doesn't really matter. 1 to 2 degrees, yeah, it's the margin of error, really. So, whatever. Okay, so I just completely finished the rebuild of the beast and swapped out the motherboard. Everything seems to be working fine. I need to work on the overclock just a little bit more to get back up to that 4.7 gigahertz I was getting on the other motherboard. Might be something with the voltages that I'm just not seeing yet. So that's fine. I'll be able to figure that out, I'm sure. Anyway, here's the stress test currently. It's running at 4.5 gigahertz. You can see it's full memory. So far it's passing all the tests at Prime 95. It fully passed Intel burn test, which is fantastic. Here's the heat currently. Not too bad at temperatures. Might be able to loosen up the voltage just a little bit. You can see all 64 gigs of RAM are posting this time. So it's definitely not part of the RAM. It's not the RAM issue at all. It's actually the slots on the motherboard, on the other motherboard, that are the problem. Let me know if you want to see any other tests or overclocking down in the comments below. Maybe some more beer or something like that while I'm doing so. That'd be awesome. I love drinking beer and overclocking my machine. That's like one of my favorite things to do. I hope you enjoyed this video on replacing the motherboard in your PC. Now I actually have access to all 64 gigs of RAM that are set up in my system. The sad part about which memory slot was bad is it was slot B1, which is required for any memory configuration over 1 stick of memory for you to be able to take advantage of quad channel memory. So unfortunately I couldn't live with that motherboard myself, and I did want to use all 64 gigs of RAM, so I just reinstalled the old motherboard, put the water blocks on that, and it works great. Now I can run some benchmarks, and up next this week will be overclocking tutorial. I will do a CPU overclocking tutorial for you. And then next up after that, video card overclocking, and I'm thinking about doing some memory overclocking as well. We'll talk about that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.